I am so happy to be here with my friend and mentor, Laura Belgray, and now also client, I guess we could say. And I'm so excited to talk about Laura's recent launch of her Mastermind Shrimp Club and kind of what happened. And so, Laura, if somehow someone doesn't know you, which I think is
Mhm.
impossible, but just in case, can you tell them who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm Laura Belgray, and I have a company called Talking Shrimp that is known for copywriting, but my overall umbrella mission is helping you make your business a total expression of your personality so that you're essentially getting paid to be you. So that is the holy grail of work to me. And so we're going to be talking about one of the ways that I get paid to be me, which is Shrimp Club. And Shrimp Club that you are a part of, you're a member of Shrimp Club, you're a superstar alum, and it is an 8 month. I like to call it a live mentoring party. Some people call it a mastermind, but group of 20 people. And I've been doing it since 2019. So we're going into the eighth round of it, which is amazing to me.
Well, that's why they were both doing. I was just telling Laura beforehand that this is the eighth round of the pre-launch plan program. And I think I was round, is that two or three? I was part of Shrimp Club. I can't remember now, but
Yeah,
I always was.
three.
Yeah, I think it was three too, because I remember thinking about it. And then the second one, I was like, gosh, I really wish I was in it. And then the third one, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this happen. And it's such an incredible someone like listening to this later, like I always say it was like one of the best investments I ever made in my business. It was such a pivotal time, and we wouldn't be here talking together because the idea that I came up with was actually during Shrimp Club, and we worked on it together, which was to start talking about pre-launches and become known. And that's exactly what I did. And it was so much of the help with Laura getting me out there. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you, Laura, because last year you had actually thought about not running Shrimp Club again. So can you talk about why that was?
Yeah. So last year, I launched the way I always do. And I've always felt confident, like, this will fill. It always has, and used to fill very easily. And then as time's gone on, and in the past couple of years, I think people have become a little bit high ticket shy. It's the investment a little less willing to like plunk down the kind of sum that I charge, which is 16K minimum, depending on whether it's pay in full. And so there's that factor, and also the fact that I no longer had a crowd of people who were like I did in, 2019 and then 2020, who had been waiting years to work with me. Like now it has been available for many years. So, anyone who's been around has had chance after chance after chance to join it. And anyone who's new hasn't been waiting years to work with me. So it became a little harder to fill. And then it became a lot harder to fill last year, and it shocked me how slowly the applications came rolling in. I eventually did fill it, as I had been confident I would, but I had many moments of doubt during that month of August when I was launching it, and doubt and some misery, because that was tough to take, for my ego and all of that. And I it was so hard that it convinced me also, like, once I'm away from the routine of it for a while, I feel like, oh, I want to live this way with like doing nothing. That's how I am in summer. Like I want to stay this way for the rest of my life. So that combined with the challenge of filling it made me think, you know what? I think this should be the last round. Like I felt done. I knew it was going to be great, but I felt like let's go out with a bang and not be one of those series that jumps the shark. And like I wanted to be a series that ends when it should. And that just the challenge of it, most of all, was making me feel like this is this is a good time to end it. This should be the final hurrah. And then during it, I started feeling like from the get-go, and then especially when we had our retreat, it's like, oh my God, this is such a great group, and I'm loving it so much, and they're loving it. And why would I ever not do this? It's like I really feel like I'm in my element when I'm mentoring and coaching and editing and helping them, and it lights me up when I'm doing it. So this year, I knew I wanted to do it again, but I also was thinking it might be just as hard to fill. Just because it was such a great round doesn't mean it's gonna be easy to fill. I need to do something different, and I had seen like, I knew what you were doing, and I knew all of like, I felt like, well, I know how to seed desire. I've been talking about that in Launch Hero and all these, all the things that I teach for a long time. So for a while, I felt like I know how to do that. And then I saw the results you were getting, and I realized you were becoming way more of an expert in pre-launching than I had been. Like you were really deep diving into it and putting your all into it. So obviously you were going to know more and see what was working, what new things were working and all that. So it's like, you know what? I love the results Brenna's getting. Everybody's talking about how they pre-sold these spots in their programs, and that sounds really appealing. And so I think I want to talk to her about what I might be able to do to make it an easier lift.
Yeah, and that's when we talked. I was like, "Oh my gosh, we need to pre-sell this, right? Like take that
Yeah.
pressure off of summer and and I'm like you, I never want summer to end. This summer
Yeah.
especially, I've had such a fun summer and I'm like, "Oh, okay, got to get
Oh,
back
good.
into it." So, we ended up deciding that we were going to work on the pre-launch together. And so, can you talk a little bit about like what that experience was like? And I think something that you said was so good. I just want to point out before you answer that question is a lot of times, even the thing that we're good at for, like that we're experts in, sometimes it doesn't mean that we don't need some help on it. And I've seen this again and again with clients. And they think, oh, well, I'm a messaging expert or I'm a copywriter. I should know how to do this. But there's something,
Right.
even when you know how to do it great for others and even yourself, sometimes just having an outside view come in and help guide you can make a big difference.
Yes, 100%. And there's definitely, it's humbling. Like, you have to take your ego out of it a little bit to just admit that somebody might know more about this than you do, or also might be able to see this from a different angle. I think of it as, not being able to see the back of your head unless you have like a good butt mirror, which we should all have. But, like that person can tell you what's back there. And and also, another humbling part of it is if it happens to be somebody who you have mentored, who calls you a mentor. It's like, oh gosh, the student has become the master. And that's, always a little bit of a challenge to your ego. So for me, it's like, screw my ego. And I just like, I need Brenna's help.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I could definitely with the ego thing, I get it. But I was funny when before I started business, I'm like, I don't have much of an ego. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm all ego sometimes. And it pops up in weird different ways. But at the same time, I think my success that I've had in this particular subject is a reflection on us doing shrimp club together, and that's where it started, right? So I
Yeah,
actually think we could reframe that as like, okay,
exactly.
I helped Brenda get to this point, so thank you again. But so let's talk about like because we didn't do something. A lot of times, what I hear with like pre-launch is like, oh, this is going to be complicated. Oh, you're telling me to do this for weeks. It's going to be so much work, and so I want to like speak to that and like the kinds of things that we decided to do ahead of time that helped make this not feel overwhelming or like a drag because that was the problem. I think you wrote something where like promoting Shrimp Club had become a bit of a slog and I was like, okay, how can we get out of that? So can we talk a little bit about that, how it worked?
Yeah. So I think we met in April, I think, for the first time. And we talked about that, about it being a slog and how we could how I could pre-sell it. And we brainstormed a little bit like what kind of bonus I could offer for super early birds. And I think we together came to the conclusion that maybe it should be like a nice discount, like 1,000 off or something like that. But I ended up being so inspired by my retreat, which happened after we met, I think. No, it was right before we met. I was so inspired by the Shrimp Club retreat that I decided I think I want to do a writing retreat like I used to do. I used to do these in Italy, like 2-day writing retreats. So like I think I want to do one. Maybe it'll be consecutive with the Shrimp Club retreat so that anyone who joins now, they could get the writing workshop for free and then have a 3-day creative bonanza. 2 days of writing workshop going right into Shrimp Club and only have to travel once and all that. So I'm like, okay, that's going to be my bonus. And meanwhile, you had helped me kind of map out the sequence of emails that I would send. So like a teasing phase to get curiosity up. Just being a little mysterious about it, saying I have something coming out that I can't wait to tell you about. And you gave me like not copy, just general ideas, like that one. And uh and the next one was, or maybe this was part of it, like hinting, can you guess what it is? I can't remember if I did this or not, but you gave me ideas for like planting Easter eggs and just getting curiosity up. And then, so you helped me map out, like, I think it was like email one, you're the first to know. Email two, why I decided to open up Shrimp Club again. Because I had to, that was an elephant in the room. I had told my whole list, this is the last time. And some people had thought that I needed to rebrand it in order to save face about relaunching it. And I was like, no, I'm just going to be honest and talk about why I decided to do it again. And then email three would be, get ready. I'm only opening 8 spots and, messaging around that. And the exclusive bonus that I was going to be dropping. I was going to blow their minds. So like those were the 3 emails leading up to it. And then you gave me like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday kind of plan for opening up these spots. And I think, oh, and I'm just looking at my notes right now from that meeting, and you recommended asking for a like how much I should ask for the deposit. So I did all of that. I followed it all, and so that was our phase one, and that filled. I think more than I can't remember if it was 8 spots or more. I think it ended up filling to like 45%. I can't remember what number I gave you
I think
after
it ended
that
up
phase
being
of it.
like, yeah, it was like 45%, but then it jumped up to 55%. So I
Yeah,
think it ended up doing 11 spots out of the 20, if my memory serves me correctly.
yeah. I think that sold the 8 that I was capping it at. Um, and then and then some shrimpers, I like that was like not including if current shrimp club members decided to renew. And so a few of them did in that phase of the promotion. So it jumped up to 55%. And that was such a great number. That number, that percentage gave me momentum because when you can, it gives you actual scarcity, to tell people, I've already filled it to this amount, and there are only this much. There are fewer than half the spots left open. So keep your eye out for when I open it for real because they're going to go fast.
Yeah. And can you talk about how it made you feel going into summer, knowing that these spots were already sold?
Uh, Amazing, because especially with the like the PTSD of last summer, um, I had been like nervous about it just weighing down my summer, and that, but it now it didn't have to because I knew it would be easy, so much easier to fill those remaining spots, and that August was not going to be a slog, and I didn't have to spend all of July saying, "Get ready for shrimp club, get ready for shrimp club," and seeding it that heavily because it wasn't as big a launch, and it was going to be so much of a lighter lift, and that made my summer incredible, especially July. I was like, it was the most lightweight July I've had in a long time.
Yeah, it feels so good. And then even if you do talk about it, it's like a different energy because
Yeah.
then you're like, it's not that you are desperate, but like in general, sometimes we can feel like this desperate energy, like, okay, is this gonna
Yes.
work? If we had I had so much issues last year, is this gonna work out this time? Where it switches that. I actually said on a different interview I did today with someone, and now you and I are the same here. Like, I'm not very woo, as you call it, woo, I'm woo adjacent. But I do believe in that energy that people can feel it when you feel confident and you're going into it. It just feels good for you to, like you said, to enjoy your summer, the best time of the year, and not
Yeah.
have to worry about what's coming up in August or at the end. So then can you talk about too, because by the time before you even officially launch, had gotten up to, I think, 80% full, correct?
Yes, correct. Because when we had our shrimp club wrap party, um, several of that, so like a whole new group of current shrimpers joined. So I ended up having more than a quarter of this current round re-up, which is like I think that's a record. And that gave me more like positive energy to bring to it. And then a couple of people snuck in applications under the radar before I even opened it back up. I just happened to open the applications table and saw two new ones that had come in. And I knew those were serious people, like that they had somehow found it. And I was right. They had Googled for it and found the link. And I knew they were serious and they were like perfect for it, which was what I was hoping. So they joined, and then it was like almost completely full. I think I was at 80% by the time I opened it up for real, like the official launch, which is nuts.
Yeah, so nuts. And it's such a great thing to go in. And based on like your experience and what we worked on together, will you be doing this again in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I never again want to wait until the opening of something. Like I've always planted seeds and done that for a bit, but I'm never gonna wait till, like, right before it to do that. It makes such a difference pre-selling it, like you said, for the energy that you bring to it, and, um, and also for other people picking up on that, like, "Oh, this is the social proof of it," like, "Oh, that filled." So, yeah, I'm gonna be approaching it that way from now on, like, pre-sell it and then sell it.
Yeah, and something I'll mention too, because a lot of times, and not with you, but I know people will open up like wait lists ahead of time, to start try and hopefully build up that momentum. And I have like a joke, like wait lists are where hot leads go to die. And a lot of times we put people on a wait list and then you put them on, before the summer or whenever you do, and then when you months ahead of time, and then they forget to even put themselves on a wait list, or the next shiny object comes, or the problem that they were trying to solve at that moment they didn't solve, and then they have a new problem. And so thinking about in terms of like how can you capitalize on when people are most excited, and creating like that natural urgency and scarcity that we talked about, and instead of putting them on a wait list, like let's sell them now and have them do a deposit and get them in the door, because then they're committed. And that's like I think a transfer or a shift of the way of thinking of waitlist versus pre-selling.
Yes, I agree with that completely. I almost never really use my wait lists that much. Like I have people click to be added to the VIP wait list, and the most I'll do is tell them ahead of time, like, this is if I'm going to be dropping a limited bonus or something the next day, or I will email a little bit extra to them. Um, and those always get great open rates, but it rarely happens that the people on the wait list are the majority of like that they all flock to it. It's true, especially with something this big. Something else comes along, or they just weren't really thinking about it and didn't save the money. A lot of people have to save up the money or account for it, and that they've spent it elsewhere. So pre-selling it really helps with that because now they really have it in mind. Like, okay, maybe by August, like right now, I don't think I'm ready, or I don't know if I have the money, but by September I might. And then they get their shit together much sooner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's what you're saying is pretty common in like when it comes to wait lists. And I also think too when you do a wait list, not to go on a tangent, but that you then people like or like, oh, launches are so complicated. I'm like, well, yeah, there's once you do a wait list, you're like, if you really want to try and get that wait list to convert, you have to have a whole separate strategy just for that. And so I'm always like, how can we like streamline and make this easy? And that's something too with you is like you weren't doing tons of social media product, like doing tons of social media if my memory
Yeah.
serves me correctly, or this was a little bit of social media and email only for the most part,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, social media I feel like it rarely sells for me directly. I think of it more as retargeting. So they've seen it in the email, they're already subscribed, and then they see me talk about it on social, or maybe they didn't see the email and then they start opening the emails. But it's usually like my list who's buying it from social media, if that, you know, um, convinces them.
Yeah, I think retargeting is a great way. I think of it like like you said, brand awareness a lot of times,
Yeah.
like just getting out there. But I agree. Like as we're both email lovers, obviously you're the email, like the go-to email person in the online industry. But
Thank you.
I always think sales happen in the emails. So as we kind of wrap up here, for anyone who's like thinking, okay, should I should I put a pre-launch into my next? Should I start pre-selling? Like what would, probably obvious now, but like what are your final thoughts around this and what it's done for you?
Yeah, I say run, don't walk, to pre-selling your course. It works for you in so many ways that I just mentioned. The momentum and social proof, and then also the energy that you're going to end up bringing to it. Having pre-sold is such a great, feather in your cap. It feels so good to have pre-sold something. Um, And then it makes the actual launch, if you are launching, so much easier and more enjoyable and lucrative if if it's something that's scaled and not capped at a certain number, you're going to sell a lot more that way. Like my shrimp club is capped at 20. So it's not necessarily going to put more money in my pocket, but it like made it so much easier and probably brought in more than ever the right people.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important point, right? Because these aren't people that are buying last minute because they have no other choice and, countdown timer is on. These are people that are really, coming, I think about it like really being internally motivated for what they want. And it starts to call in better fit people. And yeah, and to think about too, like now that you are pre-sold and like, okay, I can do this and all, I think about all like the future income too, not only just like selling out this round, but that you weren't going to launch this again. And now
Right.
you have this amazing program that you're going to be able to sell for hopefully years to come.
Yeah. I mean, you never know what life will bring, but right now I feel like why? why would I not do it? I just enjoy it so much. And like, just had a one-on-one with one of my current shrimpers, Susie Italiano, who's amazing. And it left me feeling so good. Like all my one-on-ones that I used to not do, and now I add in as a bonus, are so enjoyable, and I feel so connected with them and get to know them better. And I love the work. So I feel like, of course, I'm gonna keep doing it. It's the greatest thing, and it brings people like you into my world.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Laura. And thank you for doing this talk with me. If you're listening and you're like, okay, yes, I want more of this in my sales processes and launches, join me in the next round of the pre launch plan program. Opens up September 17th. And thank you, Laura, for being here with me.
Thank you, Brenna. This is so much fun.
Thank you.